Okay, so in our last session, in the orientation, we discussed. Yes, I've just started. In our orientation session, we discussed, why SQL, why Power BI, what kind of roles are available, right? The different things that we discussed. And today, let's start SQL sessions. And in this, we'll be covering right from the fundamentals of what is SQL and how to install SQL Server. And there are certain things are there. I'll take you through all those things, and today I'll show you how you can install SQL Server. And before that, we need to understand why we need to learn SQL, right? What kind of roles we will be getting after learning SQL and Power BI. Okay, there may be a few new joiners today. If you want to go through that orientation session, I can request the front office to share that video with you. Of course, technical stuff, I didn't cover anything there. It's more like creating awareness about SQL and Power BI. In our last session, that's what we did. And in today's session, I'll take you through a little bit of technical stuff, right? Before we start the session, I just need a confirmation from each one of you that you're already good with Excel concepts. Yes? Right, Excel, like writing the formulas, pivots, conditional formatting, and different things, right? So in Excel user interface, learning these things is easy. So in SQL and Power BI, if you have some idea about Excel, then it's easy for you to implement them in SQL and as well as in Power BI. There is a lot of dependency with Excel here. Okay, so that's the reason. Fine, then while others are joining in, let us get started with a few of the basic stuff. Once again, I'll just explain you this slide. Let's say you as an Excel user or a report developer in Excel, you may be creating a lot of reports or dashboards or something, right? For all those things, what is needed? We need data, right? Data is in the, companies, it is available in the databases, okay, usually. A few small scale or mid scale companies, they may be using CSV files or Excel files as their database, but most of the places you see any RDBMS, nothing but SQL Server or Oracle or MySQL, okay, these kind of databases they use, okay. So in order to create any report, what is it we need? We need the data, but the data is there in the database. And how can we go to the database and get the required amount of data and create a report? That is what we need to do now, right? In order to interact with the database, we need a language called SQL, Structured Query Language. Okay, using this language, we pass a query to the DBMS, Database Management System. And the database management system job is to pick up the query, go to the physical database, whatever the data that we are requesting for, it retrieves the data and gives it back to our reporting layer. Okay. So let's say you may want to use Excel there for the reports or Power BI or Tableau or ClickSense or any kind of visuals that you can create there using these reporting layer tools. One very, very important thing that you need to understand here is that most of the large scale companies, they use the databases to store their data, okay, not in Excel files. Of course, once we extract the data, we store some part of the data in Excel file also, but the entire data is available in the form of a database. So definitely we need to understand how a database looks and what is a table, what is a view, what is a stored procedure. So many things are there in the databases. So we'll talk about all those things one by one. Fine. So we are currently using Excel and we may be doing so many, different kind of reports there using simple Excel data sets. However, going forward, we will be interacting with SQL Server databases, okay, and create the reports. And once we are done with SQL, we will also learn how you can integrate Power BI with SQL. Okay, these things also we will learn. And in the SQL, I'll also show you in our last session, I'll include the ChatGPT and AI, and in which you will be able to write your SQL queries easily, right? You can take the help of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that the raw data is on Excel, which we will convert it into a SQL language. Like if I go through the arrows, then it will convert into a SQL database. So,
Okay.
what is database?
Okay, understand that. We don't convert these Excel data into a database. Okay, so understand this. You are working with Excel. Let me open Excel. Okay. I want to create a report. A report on salaries paid. If I want to create a report on salaries paid, what is needed here first?
The employee
Employee data is needed. Simple employee data is needed, correct? But do I have the data here? No, we don't have the data. Now, what is it I need to do? I can go to the HR department saying, okay, please share the data, which is the employee details data or employee payments data or salaries data. So that I need to create a report to my top management because they are asking like how are the total salaries looking by department wise or by designation wise. And the HR people tell you that no, it's not there with us. It's there in the database because you are a reporting analyst, right? You write your query and get the data. We don't share the data with you. Then what is it you need to do?
So, okay.
What is it you need to do now? So HR people said, no, we can't directly share this data with you. You are a reporting analyst here. You have access to the database. Please go ahead and query the data from there.
It's not understood.
Right. So that means you as a data analyst, directly you need to interact with, you see this now. You are working in Excel and your HR team said that, no, we don't provide the data. You have access to the database, go there and get the data. Right? To go to that level, what is there in between? SQL is there. Perfect. Then what is that I'll do? I'll go to data. There I have an option to get the data from a SQL database. Okay. I have access to the data. You know, there is a reason why HR people said they can't provide you the data because they don't know whether you are authorized person to view the data or not. If you are the authorized person, you should have access to it and you should be able to do that data retrieval on your own, right? If you are authorized person, right? If they, of course, HR team, definitely they will have authorization to extract the data of the employees, but they don't give you directly because they don't know. Again, if they want to find out, like they need to check your hierarchy and whether you have the, things and all, they need to check with the database administration team whether, this person is okay to, retrieve the data from this particular table or not. They don't want to take the risk. That's the reason they said no.
Database is like a platform where all the data is stored,
correct.
It's not like an application or anything. It's like what it is. It's platform, I can say. Is it like an application or like it's not a tool, it's like a software tool or
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So many questions will come like what is a database and all that, right? So let us do one thing. Let us practically learn step by step. We understood this scenario, right? Your HR team said, no, we can't give you. And you as a data analyst, if you are the authorized person, you have access to the database, go ahead and retrieve the data. Because I'm the data analyst and I have access to the server. Server name, my team told me that it is KK laptop. In your case, the server name will be different. Once you install it, I'll show you that. There is an employee database. I know that. And because I have access to the tables, I can directly write something like this, select star from employee. Consider this as E.
So what is the difference between AQT? So AQT. AQT.
AQT. What is it? Initial form?
So we use AQT in our
to retrieve the data. Okay, I'll also talk about all those things. How you can retrieve the data and different things. Okay, I'll show you what is a client application, what is a database server, and what is a database. We need to understand so many things here, right? So currently I'm using Excel as a client application. I'm writing a SQL query there and I want to get the employee data, left join with the DEPT table, consider that as D. And the common key is E.DEPT ID is equal to D.DEPT ID. Okay, and I'll just say, get me this data. And this will read all the data and I'll say that, okay, load the data too. Right? So I wrote one SQL query. And whatever is there in the physical database, it is now here. Right? Even if I delete this, I no need to worry. Why? Because this data is not manually entered here. If I just do a refresh, again, it will go back and it will fetch the new data. Now you get the point. So in this image, what you need to understand, I'm using Excel as my client application. I wrote a SQL query. connecting to KKA laptop is my server name. Server job is to understand the query, whatever I wrote. It went into the physical database where all the data is stored, and then it has retrieved the data and pushed it back into my Excel application, and that is where that is how I see it here. Once I get this here, your business asks like, what is the total salaries paid by the department? Then I'll bring in the department name there and a salary here, and that's it. This is how we are paying it by the department, and I can report it to my top management. Understood now? So, okay, I'll talk about each and every terminology. Yeah.
Like once we get after using the SQL query, we get this SQL database, and then again returning back to the first layer, that is the Excel reporting layer. Can you please explain the back to it?
Okay.
How should it?
Okay. How the data is coming into Excel, right? I have one SQL server in my computer. Usually in the offices, you have your SQL databases or SQL servers. They are placed on a different computer altogether, not within your computer. No company maintains their databases or servers in a personal computer. There will be server systems. You usually see in your offices like server rooms, right? Restricted entry rooms usually, and only the IT department or the admin department, they will have access to those rooms, because there are the servers running actually. Okay, they are like 24/7 they are on. Okay, because they will be serving different types of things there. There will be application servers, database servers, and all. So if you are talking about a database server, okay, that is a separate thing in your office. But as for the training purpose, I have a server in my laptop itself. That's a server name is KK laptop. That is what I named it. You can also change the name once you install it. So you wanted to create a report. What is the report we wanted to create? Employees salaries report by the department. How much are we paying? Done. That is required. That requirement is clear. Then when we opened Excel, there was no data. It was like a blank file. And from there, how I got the data, I got into the SQL server database, and there you need a server name and the database name, and you need to have some idea about writing SQL queries there. After writing it, and you click OK, and it generated the data here. And by the way, this data is not physically present. I mean, of course, at this point, it is there in Excel, but it is actually coming from where? From the database itself, right? How does that database look and all? I'll show you. But for now, understand that when you wanted to create an employee salaries report by the department, how much are we paying? We don't have any data in Excel. Then I wrote one SQL query, right? I said like select star from employee, consider that as A and join the department table, blah, blah, blah. I wrote, and I triggered the query on my server, to my server actually. I requested my server, please get me this data, right? And then it went into the database and it checked the tables and all, whatever the data is present, and it fetched all the data. And once the query has been successfully triggered, it returns some data, right? The data needs to come into my Excel, right? Because from Excel itself, I triggered and it went through all that process, and it extracted the data, and it came back with a response saying that, okay, this is the data that is available. Now we got it. I'll do one thing to make it much more simpler today, because before getting into the technical stuff, as I said, we need to discuss a few things. Okay. So many questions will definitely come. Even before, when I started my SQL journey, even I had so many questions like this. Okay, what is data? What is that called and all? I'll do one thing. I'll turn this thing into a very simple example here. Then you will understand a bit more better what kind of environment we are working. Okay. So for that, of course, it's not part of your material, but let me just take you through there. Right, okay. I'll give you a simple example here. Okay, we go to different, okay, we go to restaurants. Yes. Let's take a restaurant example here, just to understand easily, okay, what is database? So let's take a look at this. Let's call this as SQL restaurant, where the data gets served. Okay. Let's say you go to a restaurant, right? What are you to the restaurant? You're a customer. Perfect. You're a customer. So instead of calling you as a customer, is it okay to call you as a client then? You're a client for them?
Yes.
Right. You just tweak the terminology. Okay. It's okay. You can call yourself as a client or a customer, but let us, stick to customer for now. Okay. You're a customer, right? And you look at the restaurant, right? The restaurant, it has a big building infrastructure, staff is there, so many, systems are there, tables are there, so much stuff is there inside. Okay. So that entire thing is your database environment. Consider that way. Let's say you step inside the restaurant, right? And you pick up a table, you choose a table and you sit there. Done. The food will automatically come to you? No, right? Some process will take place. What is it you need to do? You need to look at the, right, before ordering, you need to do something. Exactly, you need to check the menu. Perfect. So you have your menu there, right, in the restaurant. So similarly, we have a database documentation there, right? You looked at the menu and you chose like a couple of items there, right? And you looked at it and you chose a couple of items. You thought like you want to, order them. So will the order be placed automatically? No, right? So definitely you need to place the order. So directly you want to go to the kitchen and you want to place the order? No, right? We'll wait for someone, right? Who is that? Waiter. Any other names? Server. Server, right? You wait for the server and the server comes to you. Server, bearer, waiter. But let's consider, you're a client, you're a customer, and you talk to who? Server. Server comes to you. Let's say, ask like, okay, what is your order? And you look at all those items and you say that, okay, I want product A, product B. Done. Then the server takes your request, right? Stays there only or goes somewhere? Where? Kitchen, perfect. Kitchen is a place where all your food gets prepared, right? It's your physical database actually. There you have all the ingredients and all that stuff, right? And the cooking, whatever the stuff, vessels and all that. That's your physical database. So your database server, basically here, your server in the restaurant goes to the kitchen. Kitchen is your database, right? So there you have the staff members, right? To process that query. Done. So, and the server says, okay, and the customer A wants product A, product B, please prepare. Then they prepare that food, right? And server comes back, serves the food to you on your table, correct? Yeah. So here, who are you? You are a client. And you talk to server. Server goes to? Yes. Here they're in the restaurant example, kitchen. And they're in database example. It's a database. Server goes to the database, gets your query processed, and gets the output. There in restaurant, we call it food. Here in our environment, in the database environment, we call it a result set or a data set. We get that. And that gets served to you. Clear now? A bit clarity is there? Okay, fine then. Now let's take a look at this. A bigger picture. Restaurant is equal to database. If you consider restaurant, you have the physical building, contains everything that is needed and organized systems and all. In the database, you have the server environment, stores all the data and structured storage, right? On the database server side, right? Staff, the restaurant server who takes the order from the customer, and the database server who takes the request from the clients. Done. And manager is basically admin who oversees all those things, who is accessing what, okay, what kind of data is going through the different systems and all that. Someone like an admin. And here we have a manager. Manager takes care of all those things, right? Okay, what's happening, is the staff ready, right? All that stuff. Similarly, we have a server administrator. So they take care of, overseeing all those things. Done. Now you're getting it? Done. So kitchen versus the database. In the kitchen, what is that we see? We see all those ingredients, masalas and all that, food grains and stuff like that. Similarly, in the database side, we have the tables, we have the store, we have the views, stored procedure, functions, and so many things are there in the database side. So when the request is placed, right, you will have to mix so many things, right? Let's say if a specific dish you ordered, let's say, what is that? Paneer butter masala, right? So they have the paneer in different bowl, right? The masala in different bowl, and they have the cooking machinery in different thing. And they need to mix up all those things at a certain heat. They need to prepare the food, right? Similarly, when it comes to the database request, you have so many tables. You need to take column A from table A, right? Column B from table B, and you need to mix both of them and prepare your data set and share it with the client. You're getting it? Same thing. So there you have the kitchen layout, pantry storage, ingredients and recipes. You have the schemas, tables, data in the tables, and stored procedures, and so many things in the database. Right? Fine then. So what is that here? Taking the orders is equal to running the queries. Nothing but your server comes to you and takes the order and goes back to the kitchen and gets that food prepared, right? Similarly here, you place a request, a data query request, and your server takes it, server understands it, and then goes to the database and gets it processed, and the result set will come as an output. Now we are getting it, the process, entire process done. Yes, there you have the menu. So here we have the different SQL commands there, right, to be executed on this menu. Okay. Dining experience like customers, dining tables and bill. Here we have the database, clients making the requests and the client connections. Different tables will connect and query results. Nothing but bill is nothing but, finally that after giving that food and all, you will also get a bill, right? Yeah, that's the output there. Let's start cooking with SQL. Okay, understand. When you look at that menu, you have all that stuff there, right? So you can consider that as your database documentation. So that will help you to understand more about the products or the food dishes that are available in the, in the restaurant. That's a menu card. And here in the database head, when you look at the database documentation, you will understand what kind of tables are there, what kind of keys and constraints are applied on each and every column. Each and everything is defined there. So basis on that only, you will place the order. You got the point? Okay, I have a question here. When you visit Hyderabad restaurant, okay, and you place an order for biryani, okay, how long will it take to serve the biryani to you? 10-15 minutes. I think you're taking actually more time if you ask me. The biryani is a pre-processed food readily available, and usually it is faster. Maybe let's take like 10-15 minutes, that's okay. This time you order something like, what is that? Butter chicken masala. How much time? It will take little more time, right? First, yeah. And this time you order tandoori chicken. It will take a bit more time, right? So that means depending on the kind of query that you are placing or the request that you are placing, it will take sometimes less time, sometimes more time. If it is like a standard procedure, right? Something like biryani, it's already available there. It's quick, right? The response also is like really quick, yeah. But let's say this kind of condition. You want tandoori chicken, okay? Less spice in it, should be cooked for more time. And you don't want any black marks on it, okay? If it is cooked more, right? And you give all these different conditions inside. Will it take less time or more time? Correct. That means when you place a request to the server, more conditions or more tricky requirements will take more time. Understand that? Right? Okay, here we go. This is one place where it takes more time. And you are talking about only one tandoori chicken that you placed, right? You want 20 tandoori chicken. Will it be like same half an hour? No, it will take more time. Depends on the capacity that that oven that whole thing has, right? And it will take more time. So to process one by one, let's assume that that restaurant has a capacity only to serve only or cook only one tandoori chicken at one time. Then, and each thing takes about 20 minutes. Let's assume. It will take more time, right? So that means whatever the infrastructure we discussed about the restaurant infra, that is our database infrastructure related thing only. So if the database infra is at a lower configuration, but more number of customers are placing the orders, it will take more time. That is when you usually see it is taking more time to get the responses from the server. It is not the server delay, not all the time, okay? Sometimes the server delays will also be there. But if the restaurant infra itself is like very, less, then they cannot do so many things simultaneously, right? So similarly, in the database in environment also, it's the same thing. If the database infra is like low configured, then it will take more time to process all the customer requests. That's when you see the latency issues. Now you're understanding it, right? Perfect. Done then. So you got some idea now, right? Tricky requirements will take more time, right? Bigger queries or bigger requests will also take more time. And there could be a database side delays. Sometimes there could be server side delays also. We'll turn everything into a technical terminology later, but for now, understand this, okay? Fine then. Let's talk about the same example once again. This time you looked at a restaurant, you liked it, you went inside, you chose a table, you sat there. Server came to you and you started, let's say Hyderabad restaurant I'm talking, okay? Hyderabad restaurant. And the server comes to you and you started talking to that server in Spanish.
Will not understand.
You'll not understand why? Language is different, right? Okay, German? No? Okay, Hindi.
What you understand?
Some of them understand this language.
Right, Hindi. Hindi is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, Telugu is okay. And so to some extent, English is also okay, right? People can manage it, right? But any other language, let's say Malayalam, no, right? You're getting the point there. So that means you as a client, you are talking to your server in a commonly understandable language, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
You can use any other language also, but what is the problem here? The server can't understand that, right? So that means there has to be a language commonly understood by both of you, right? That means whatever the language, whatever we are using there in that example is a common language, right? Here, the common language to talk to the server is SQL, structured query language. Okay, so what is the language we use here to talk to the server? Structured query language SQL, right? So every server has a server name, right? In Hyderabad, if you go to the restaurant and there is like Prasad, Raju, Imran, Chris, something, different names, right? So here you are talking to the server, right? And each and every server has a name. Similarly, in our environment also, our servers have the names. You need to talk to them in a commonly understandable language. And in our case, we are learning SQL server, Microsoft SQL server. There are other servers also, SQL server, Oracle servers, IBM servers, right? But there is a good thing. As all of them are RDBMS, Relational Database Management Systems, they understand SQL as a common language. SQL as a common language. The name may be different there, but all of them, they can understand SQL as a common language. But here we go. There is a server who is a Hyderabadi, okay, and that person speaks, Telugu also different variants are there here, okay. So Telangana Telugu variant, right? So you talk to that person in Telangana Telugu variant, understands it easily, right? And there is one, we have the other variant in Andhra and other variant in Rayalaseema, okay. But good thing I'll tell you, even though you are talking to a Telangana Telugu person, will be able to understand the other Telugu variants also. Maybe those variants, the words and all slightly different, but meaning can be, understood. Here in SQL also we have the different variants in SQL language. So that's the reason in the interviews and all, you see that TSQL, MySQL, you see that ANSI SQL, different variants basically these are, right? So understand, here the SQL, of course, it's a commonly understandable language, but we have the variants there. What kind of a variant are we using here is that TSQL variant is what we want to use. Why? Because we are going to talk to a person. Who is that person? Which server is it? Microsoft SQL server. Okay, consider that server as a person this time, okay? So that person understands what? TSQL only. Okay, then you get a question. You are learning or we are learning here TSQL. When I attend an interview, what if they ask MySQL questions? Absolutely no need to worry. Why? Because when I learned Oracle SQL. Okay. Then after that, I started working with my client in MySQL. Now I'm training on TSQL. What does it mean? It means you learn any kind of a SQL language, they all look very much similar. 95% of the commands are same. A few commands here and there, they are different, and I'll explain you. Okay, so this is what we call it in MySQL. This is what we call it in TSQL. Then you will get a better idea. Yes, all of them, they look very much same. Slight differences are there in terms of the commands execution and all. Done? Clear? Okay, fine then. Now you understand the entire environment. If you consider that as a restaurant, what you are a client, and with whom you talk to server. In which language? SQL language. And what is the specific variant of SQL we are learning here? TSQL. Perfect. So because we are talking to the person name is Microsoft SQL Server. So the server job is to go to the database. It is your storage place where all your tables and other things are stored. You go, I mean, the server goes there, gets all the requests processed, and comes back with the result set that is needed for your analysis. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right? So other variants of SQL is also there, but you no need to worry because almost all the SQL languages or the variants, they look similar. Done? Yes, please. Transact SQL. Transact SQL. It was initially developed by the Sybase, but later Microsoft acquired it. Transact SQL. TSQL. Transact SQL. Done. Now you know your client, who is a client and who is a server, right? Okay. So we are working in an environment, the client and server environment. Done. Okay, fine then. Now you slowly will get a better idea. All of you are okay with this image also, right? This one, you're good? Okay. Well, anyways, take you through all these things step by step. You understood how Excel was able to get the data here because I am using Excel as my client, and client sent out a query. My SQL server picked up the required columns and processed it and able to come back with a response.
I'll come back to that return stage, retrieval stage. Can you see that?
Right. So we'll do one thing. We have the SQL concepts here. I'll take you through one by one. Then you will understand how these things will happen and all. Okay. I'll take you through all those things. Okay. Now a question comes. Why do I need to learn this? Okay, you spoke about restaurant and everything, like, okay. But why do I need to learn this? Right? Before explaining all these things, I'll give you my real-time example. I was part of the data analytics team, okay, back in 2010-11, that point. Let's say, we used to work in the evening shifts, okay, because client, we were working that point with the US client, okay. So we used to attend the meetings around what, 9 o'clock in the night, 10 o'clock in the night with them. They used to give us the requirements. Okay, so we used to write everything. Yeah, this is what client wants, because we are not from the technical team. We are just only the analytics team. So we used to send the email after writing down all those conditions and what client is looking for and all. For the data purpose, we used to write an email to the IT team. IT team used to work in the 9 to 6 morning shift. IT team never, only the administration team used to work in the night, but other IT team members, they were like in the morning shift only, 9 to 6. We used to write that email somewhere in the night around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So then the IT team logs in what time? Next day, morning, 9 o'clock. But they have like a 24-hour stat. Nothing but anything that you send, they can pick that up within the 24 hours time. That means they can pick up on the same day. Let's say Monday. Take an example of Monday. Monday night, 11 o'clock client meeting was over. We sent an email to the IT team. Tuesday morning, they look at that because they have the 24 hours time. So they have time up to Wednesday. It's not that they need to do on the same day, right? So Wednesday, let's say they process the request. Wednesday afternoon, they send the output data. But by when we see that, because we used to log in around 9 o'clock in the night. Though the afternoon, the data, let's say, is there, but we were not there in the system, right? So on the system. So 9 o'clock around, we used to log in. And then again, a client call in the night around 10 o'clock, like a stand-up call. And we used to say that, okay, today afternoon only we received the data. So we'll process the request and we'll prepare the report and share it with you. And we used to spend like that entire night, prepare a report. Towards the end of the shift, nothing but our early morning of Thursday, we used to send it, right? Because that is a logout time for the client. Client definitely can't be able to see that, review the entire report, right? When that client will pick up? Next day, Thursday night again. You see that? Thursday night, 9 o'clock, even they log in their time, their morning time, and we log in here and they look at that. And 10 o'clock is the call, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, they review the thing, and they say that, okay, something looks not okay. Because they come from the strong business background. They know, if a number should fall between 5 to 10, that should always be 5 to 10. It cannot go lesser than 5 or more than 10. They understand that. They may not be exactly tell us like how much it should be the value there, but it cannot, go beyond that or, cannot go lesser than that. They understand that because they are from the strong business background, right? So looking at that number, this number looks off, okay? It is definitely not the correct one. So please, can you check with the IT team? Because looks like they ran a different query because all the conditions are not included here. If that is the case, then the number can't be this much. When is this discussion happening? Thursday night. But can we talk to the IT team then and there? No, because they log in 9 o'clock Friday. So after getting into this discussion and doing a lot of brainstorming on the data and all, then we realize that okay, some XYZ filters are additionally applied on the data and which are not needed, right? Then we respond back to the IT team to the same email that we received, right? Saying, okay, looks like you have applied so and so filters. Please take it up as a priority because it's been like already delayed. Monday is when we got the request, and today is already Thursday, and you are going to pick up on Friday, right? Again, Friday, because it's like a client escalation, they will definitely take it up as a priority. And 9 o'clock they log in, and let's say afternoon 1 o'clock itself they share the data, correct data. But when will be able to pick that up? 9 o'clock Friday night, right? And on top priority, we worked it, and 12 o'clock in the midnight, we were able to share the report. And the client says, okay, today is Friday, right? Team is busy in the fun activity and all. We'll review that on the next Monday. On Monday, they look at what time? In the night again. Because their time is different and our time is different, right? Then they felt, okay, it's fine. You see what happened? One simple request. Just because our team didn't know how to write those queries. It took 1 week. All those practical things, by the way. It's not like one-time thing, multiple times it happened, and then company decided to send us for the training. Okay, you guys get trained on SQL because you sit in the client calls, you know the requirement well, and when you run a report, even something goes wrong, you understand it. You don't need to depend on the team, okay? That's when they sent us, and we learned it. Now you see the situation. Monday evening, we got a request, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we got the request, okay? We understood the requirement because we are the SQL experts. What is it we do? We write our own query. We got the access to the database, okay? We write the query and we create the report same night. And of course, we did something wrong. Unnecessary filters, even we applied. Okay, we send the report on Monday night itself, nothing but Tuesday early hours. Again, Tuesday night, client looked at it. They said, it's not correct, right? Because we are the SQL experts, we rewrite the query and we run that report and we again send it towards the end of Tuesday night, which is Monday early morning. Sorry, Wednesday early morning. Then client looks at it Wednesday night and they said, fine. You see that? That means if you learn SQL, because you know the business requirement well, you can write a better query. Instead of explaining entire business context to the IT team, and then again getting a query created, it takes definitely so much time. You need to explain all the business logics for them, right? To them. So instead of that, if you learn SQL, you can write your own query, right? Why do you need to wait for someone else to write the query and get you the data?
That's why in the market nowadays, current business plus technical skills are more valuable.
Exactly. So if you look at any operational role, especially any kind of a reporting and analytics role, they're expecting you to have SQL skills also because they don't want you to depend on any other. You're getting the point, right? So why do you need to learn SQL? Because you understand the requirement well, so you can generate the reports easily, right? Reduce the dependency on the IT team, perform better than peers and get it more recognized and get more employable. As an analyst, you know the requirements very well. right? So that you can write a better query. Because you see, understand one thing, I'll tell you one thing. Usually in most of the businesses, the same thing happens, okay? So even sometimes you feel this way also. If you're a team lead, you have a requirement, right? And you know that it can be done in 1 hour, right? Most of the times it also happens this way. Let's say if you have a super team with you, great. You can always rely on them and you can give the requirements to them and they understand it quickly and they can do it. But most of the times what happens, especially if you are coming from an individual contributor role, and moreover, these reporting and analytics roles are usually the IC roles, or maybe a small team of like 5 to 6, not more than that. You don't see like an operational team operating with 100 or 200 employees there. For all the 100, 200 employees, there may be a 5 or 6 data analysts or reporting analysts, not more than that. Because we work in a small, group, and moreover, most of the times we work like ICs, individual contributors. Okay, of course, the team leading skills are also needed later. So what happens is that what you may be thinking is that instead of sitting with my team member and explaining the entire stuff to that person, okay, it is just only 1 hour work, right? Okay, let me do it. You get the point? This is how we do it most of the times. The reason being explaining something to the other person and getting it done, sometimes it takes more time, right? If you really invest your own time and complete it. You get the point? So most of the times we do this way only. So explaining these requirements, if you are a business expert and technical expert, you feel like doing it on your is better. Of course, sometimes you also need to explain, make your team also understand what is needed. But if it is like a simple requirement, we prefer like, okay, let me do it. Let me complete it, right? Because you are the technical expert and you have the business idea. It is easy for you to complete the job on your own, right? Yeah, sometimes we share that knowledge with others also. But yeah, aggregations, a few of the functions are there. They can be implemented easily in SQL, in the query itself. No need to write very complex logics in Excel or Power BI. No. In SQL itself, we can implement those things. And also you will be able to understand the data modeling in ClickView, Power BI, Tableau, all these things, they look very easy once you learn this. Okay? Done. What is a database? Okay, a database is any collection of related information. Okay? It's a place where you store all your data. There are tables, there are views, there are functions, there are stored procedures. There are so many things in the database. It's a place where you store all those things. Anything you can say as a database, but it should be having what? The related information. Okay. And it can be stored in different places. The best place to store is a computer. Okay. On your computer, where do you store this database? Hard disk. Yeah. Earlier we used to have this HDDs, hard disk drives. Now SSDs, solid state drives. And there is one more technology, NVMe, one more. So that is the place where we store our data. Right? So there we store it. Of course, your mind. Is it our database? Is it a database? Our mind, is it a database? Our mind, is it a database? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you can store data in our minds also. Right? Yes, it is, right? But it is, I would say it is a very dangerous database. Right? Because it forgets always the important things and remembers all unnecessary things. Right? So, most of the times, if it is like a very crucial thing for the business to remember, and only that number only will forget. Rest everything will be there. So, but in the case of a computer, right? If you store something, and it will be there forever unless you delete it. Yes. Even the deleted ones can be restored on the computer, right? Yeah, but the best place to store is a computer in its drives. We have the memory devices, right? So there we store it. Yeah. So what is a database? A database is a collection of data objects. What are those objects we have? We have the tables, we have the views, we have the stored procedures, and we have so many things. So what is a database? A place where you store and manage the data, right? If you take a book, you can consider that as a database. Okay, so what is it we do in a book? We write, nothing but we are storing the database. And sometimes we update, nothing but, we strike off a value and we write a new value there, we update it. And sometimes we completely, take it off, like you can tear off the page, completely you're dropping that page, right? So a database is a place where you can store and manage the data. So the data is managed inside the tables, okay? Right. So if you look at a CSV file, you can consider that as a database. Excel file, you can consider that as a database. But understand that these two are the files. Files. Even the files also can store some data. Excel file, CSV file, PDF file, right? All these files, they store some data, but they are not databases. If you want to call something as a database, okay, especially a database application, it should be managed by a server. It should be managed by a server. You have Access database. Yes, it has an Access server. You have MySQL server database. You have a MySQL server. So a database should be managed by a server. These servers are RDBMS servers, relational database management systems. These things are the ones that manage our data inside the databases. You need to understand two things here. Files are different, databases are different. Files also can store the data, but they cannot become a database application because they are files only. But when it comes to the databases, they are designed to store and manage the data via a server. Server is the one plays a crucial role there. In the restaurant example also, when you have your kitchen with lot of ingredients and all like your data, right? It is managed by who? By the server. You understand? Right. So the next three, Access, SQL Server and Oracle Server databases, these are the databases and these two are the files. Of course, they can also store some data. Files, okay. Files, they do not have any server application as such. I'll tell you a simple thing. A best example I'll tell you. Let's say IRCTC, you know that?
Yeah.
What is it? The railway ticket, right? Okay, perfect. So they want to store the data in Excel file. The very first question comes. Every day, a good lakhs of tickets may be booked. Excel file has a capacity of, in one sheet, only 10 lakh, 10,48,576. Only that much we can store. So definitely size wise, the scalability or expandability wise, we have an issue, Excel file. And moreover, let's say I open this Excel file and I'm entering my ticket details. Let's assume. Can anyone else also open the same Excel file and enter their ticket details?
Yes, it is a SharePoint.
If it is a SharePoint, I understand. Excel file that is located on a shared drive in your organization. Okay, you open this and you are entering something. Others, will they be able to open that? No, it throws a read-only message. But I understand there is a sharing capability also, right? A sharing functionality. But when you want to share your Excel file, so many other functionalities will be turned off. You just observe that. You just share one Excel file and ask your friend and you open it. Most of the features on shared files will be turned off. You cannot use each and every Excel feature on a shared file. There are so many limitations. Technical things are there, okay? So definitely Excel file is not meant for these kind of things because there is no server as such, because it's just like a file and being opened using the Excel application, and Excel is not like a server application wherein it can manage multiple requests coming from the different clients. But if you take IRCTC, they have a SQL server in the background, and the front end application is there, SQL server is there, and you have a database is there. You just log in and you want to book a train ticket, okay? And you set up all those things and you submit your request. The request goes to server first. The server may be getting the request from not only you, at the same time, maybe now also someone may be booking a ticket at this point. The server's job is to do the same thing, take all the requests from the different users and just sequence them. Give the, as per the priority, just keep them in the sequence. And one by one, you go to the database, check whether the ticket is available. Okay, if it is available, assign the ticket, go back to the user screen and say that, okay, your ticket has been booked. Just in case, if the same train next customer also places a request, but by the time it goes to the database, all the tickets are over, then it comes back and it issues a RAC ticket. You see that? So that is the job of the server. It manages all the customer requests. But in the file systems, like especially the CSV files or Excel files or other files, you don't have any server application to manage those requests.
And they have limited storage.
Limited storage is there, and so many other limitations are there. Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, let's suppose, as you said, in IRCTC,
Yeah.
let's on a daily basis,
Yeah,
we 2 to 3 crore people are booking tickets, right? So as
yeah,
you said, Excel has a limitation of 10,48,000 rows
yeah.
or so. So do this kind like SQL or does have any limitation or
Hmm.
there's no limit on the database when we are saving something on this SQL
Correct.
database?
Absolutely right. Yes, even the SQL Server databases also they have the limitations, but limitations not in terms of the rows, in terms of the GBs of the size that it can handle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I'll tell you one thing. Even your banking applications or any other thing also, let's say the same ticket application only, let's see. Um, will you be able to access? Okay, let's do this way. Banking is what you can easily relate to it. Will you be able to access last 6 months data from your banking application?
Yes.
What are the last 6 months data? What happened? Oh, excellent. 12 months data.
That is
No, no. We need to raise a request and then they can email us, right?
Right,
Because
12
it's
months
a huge
data,
data.
usually the rolling last 365 days data, any bank keeps it there
Yeah.
in the current system, right? In one of the databases. There is something called archiving process in the database side, okay? So certain stage once it crosses, there is no point keeping all that historical data in the same database. Though it is capable of holding the data, but we don't keep it. Like, keeping so much of data in one database also will hamper the performance of the database and the sub. So what is that we do? We just archive the historical data into a different database. So that's the reason whenever you want to raise, a request for like last 4 years transactional data you want, that won't be available directly in your mobile app also. You cannot directly query that. And they say that you need to raise a request and that report will be, or the data will be shared after 24 or 48 hours. You observe that? Yes.
Yes,
Now
yes,
you can
yes.
easily understand this. That means the data, so much of historical data is not stored in the live systems. There is no point.
also, we can't see older the emails.
Hmm.
I mean, more than
The archiving process, you can set up an automatic archiving process also, right? You create different folders for them and you archive those emails and all, right?
But
Hmm.
online we have internet banking, but we're not being able to see.
You try that. You want to extract the last, let's say, 10 years transactional data. They say that, okay, simply place a request and this email will be delivered after 48 hours or 24 hours. Last 1 year, you can always query. Usually, almost all the banks offer that. But beyond that, usually there is a limitation. Right? UPI also, they came up with new rules from August 1st. Per day, you can only check 50 times balance check, right? And after that, it won't allow, right? See, the point is everything, I think you now can easily understand that why certain rules are placed, okay? Everything that you are asking, that means it is sending a request to the server. And what is server responsibility? Process the request, right? If unnecessarily, every 1 minute I'm checking for my balance, or otherwise I set up an automatic process, then what it does, it always hits that server, okay, tell me the balance, tell me the balance, tell me the balance. And as soon as the request comes, server goes there and checks the balance and comes back and okay, this is the balance, this is the balance. Now you are getting why they are keeping such kind of rules. And moreover, almost like, I read it like a good, I think India is like top, right, in the world who is doing the online transactions. Yeah, because of this UPI thing only, right? Yeah. Correct. Yes. If it is a database, yes. Also, database also has a limitation of storing the data. It's not because of the size. Actually, to improve the speed and other few things, we archive the data. We don't keep each and everything inside the same database. We'll archive and we'll move the data to some other place. And only when it is needed, we just access that other database to read the historical data, right? When at the time of creating the database, I'll show you how much space you can allocate to the database and how much data it can handle. I'll show you that in the database design. I'll show you. Hope that answers your question. Yes, database also has a limitation. Okay,
Got it.
but
Got
that's
it.
way too high. That's way too high. Okay,
Mhm.
that
Got it.
limitation.
Yeah.
Right, we have SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and we call it SQL, right? And yeah, it is used to communicate with the database, right? It is a media through we can store and read the data from a relational database. And most of us, we have a very, very common question here. We have SQL and we have SQL Server. Are they same? Are they different, right? Understand, SQL is a language, structured query language. And using this, you need to talk to the server. And which server are we using? SQL Server. And SQL Server is from Microsoft. It's Microsoft SQL Server. So Microsoft SQL Server also understands a language. Which language? SQL. To be, what is that? What do we say? To be accurate, we need to call it TSQL.
Sure.
Transact SQL is a language understood by Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. Microsoft SQL Server is a server application. The job of the server application is to understand all the queries from the clients, process them on the database. Got this idea now? What is a language and what is a server application? Most of us, we have this issue, like people don't understand, SQL Server and SQL. SQL is a language. Server is a server application that manages the requests, right? From which company this SQL Server is there? Microsoft. Other companies also have the server application, something like you have Oracle, you have other few things also, right?
Sir,
Question.
It's like a processor.
Someone who is actually taking care of all your requests and processing them, correct? All right then, so here we go. We have the database management system. This entire environment looks like this, right? Can you identify where are you?
Last user.
Yes,
Last one.
this is you. You are using a computer. In the computer, you see some application there, right? You are using a client application. Okay, using the client application, what is it you do? You write queries. So you write a query, right? Using some logic, right? And it could be a data retrieval query. Let's assume you wrote select star from so and so table. That's your data retrieval query you wrote, and that hits the DBMS. Okay, what is it? It's a data retrieval query. I'll tell you the query. I'll tell you in simple English. I'll translate that into SQL later. In simple English, you are working for a FMCG company, a big retail marketing company. Okay, something is there, and you want to understand what happened in the last 6 months sales. Then you will write here in your client. Okay, what is it you write? Hi database, I want to get the last 6 months sales. Okay, in simple English, I'm saying last 6 months sales from the transactions data. And you say that. So that goes as a data retrieval query. And that is understood by your DBMS, because DBMS, your database management system, your server understands the SQL language, and you wrote that in the language only, right? It understands it. Then it goes to the physical database. So physical database is your hard drive or SSD or someplace, right? Where all the tables are stored. It goes there and it checks like the database contains what? Last 10 years data. But do you need all last 10 years data? No, you just need only the 6 months data. Right, what it does, the server will look at the table and will fetch only the 6 months data. Consider that this is only 6 months data. Only this part of the data will be displayed on your screen. Like the same thing we did it in Excel. I wrote like I want the employee salaries data. I just got it. Similarly, here also it's the same process, right? So what is there? You as a client, you write a SQL query. And it could be any kind of a SQL query, but most of the times it's a data retrieval SQL query. Can anyone tell me why do we prefer writing the data retrieval SQL queries only? Because why do we write only this? Why do we write data retrieval queries only?
They're not the admins.
Okay, we're not the admins. Okay, agree. What else? What else? Why I'm saying always about data retrieval only?
So you're pulling.
Basically, we are just trying to get the data from the server or the database so that we can represent it.
Why do we do that?
Because we need that information.
We need only
That's
output.
it.
Why do we need only that output? Yeah, good one. Yes. Why do we need that output? Because okay, understand that you are aiming for a data analyst role, right? Or a reporting analyst role, or a MS analyst role, right? So as an analyst, what is our job? Do the data retrieval. We don't administer the database. We don't manage the database. We don't care about, how many users are there on the database. That's not our job. That is the job of some other team. Our team is to do what? Do the data retrieval. Once the data is there, we analyze the data, we draw the insights from the data, and we help the business to take the right decisions. That is our job. We don't administer the things, or we don't manage the data security. The data security is not my job. Someone who is managing the database security, they will have to take care. You get the point? Why, as a user, we always talk about data retrieval? Because as a reporting analyst or a data analyst, what is our job? It's always to do the data retrieval and prepare the reports. That is what we do. Understood? Right. So as a client, nothing but you are the user. You use what? You use a client application in your computer and you send a data retrieval query, and that hits the DBMS, nothing but your server. Server goes to the physical database, and whatever the data that you requested, let's say last 6 months sales data, only this part. Of course, your database may contain last 10 years, 20 years data, but I don't need all the data. I just need only last 6 months data, maybe this year, and that 6 months data will be displayed on your screen. And once the data gets into your reporting application, be it Excel or Power BI, now you know that you know how to create pivots, how to create the charts, slicers, writing the formulas, all those things we do, and we share the final dashboard with the client or nothing but our management or someone. Understood? Right? So where do we stand here? This is our position, right? And what is that we are using here? We are using a client application and we send a query. In which language we send? SQL language, and it goes to the server, and the server job is to read and understand the query, go to the physical database, get the required amount of data and display it on the screen. That's it. Done? Okay, now you tell me, what is our server application? I told you already. Microsoft SQL Server. Perfect. We are going to use Microsoft SQL Server 2022 Developer Edition. That is the version that we are using. We are going to use. I'll show you how to install that. That is a server application. To talk to the server, you need a client, right? Client application is also needed, right? So the client application, we use SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. That is a client application, SQL Server Management Studio. What is our server application? SQL Server Developer 2022. And how do you manage it? Using SQL Server Management Studio. So that is our client and this is our server. Done. So two applications that you need to remember these names. First one, SQL Server 2022 Developer. And to interact with the server, we need a client, and the client application is SSMS. Short form, people usually in the almost every company, they use this word SSMS. SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. That is a client. Okay. So client version is currently 21, I think. Client SSMS version 21 is there in the market. I'll show you. They would have updated it. I'll show you how to download and install also. Fine, so far. Okay. So we have introduction to RDBMS. It is a relational database management system. And there are like rules proposed by EF Code. Boy's Code rules, we call it, or EF Code rules. Okay. So there are 13 rules proposed by EF Code. If you want to call something as RDBMS, it needs to comply with those 13 rules. But you no need to worry about these 13 rules and all, because we are not going to develop any application like RDBMS. Our job is to just work with RDBMS. We are not going to write any software application. right? We are not going to develop any software application for the RDBMS purpose. We just need to understand that these RDBMS, they comply with these 13 rules, and certain things are there, they are useful for the reporting purpose. So that's the reason I'm talking about this. But anyways, if you really want to understand what are those 13 rules and all in the instructions files, yeah, you have those 13 rules, rule number 0 to rule number 12. Rule number 0 to 12 is equal to how many rules? 13 rules are there, but this is for someone who is actually developing RDBMS. We are not here to develop a new software program, right? So you don't need to worry about that. Done. It means the data is stored in multiple tables that have the relationship between them using the keys and constraints. Okay, why do we call this as a relational database? In the relational database, the data is stored in the form of tables that have the relationships. Tables that have the relationships, okay, using the keys. Today we'll see, we'll try to understand the keys and constraints concept, okay? I'll just give you simple examples that you look around and you see so many keys and constraints around you, okay? So I'll talk about all those things. What if we lose all the data? You don't need to worry. Why? I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing. As a data analyst, technically also, you don't need to worry. Because that's not your headache. You just retrieve the data. If the data is there, is not there, that's not your job to worry, okay? Because management should be worried for sure. Your database administrators should be worried for sure, because it's their job to schedule the periodic backups. Okay, usually this is how it happens. Absolutely no need to worry. If you are implementing a database, there is a periodic backup process in place already. You don't need to worry, right? Even if you lose the data because of a physical damage or something, if you lose all the data also, these days you don't need to worry. The reason being, your data is stored in the cloud, not on the physical locations, right? Let's say if you're using a Microsoft Azure SQL server and your database is also Azure database, which is a cloud service, offered by Microsoft. They manage your data, and the security and everything is taken care. What if the data is lost? Again, as a company, you don't need to worry. Why? Because Microsoft takes care of taking the periodic backups. Let's say that backup is also gone. Again, as a company, you don't need to worry. You know why? In the agreement and all, there will be a lot of penalty, okay, and that's way too high, right, if they lose the data. So that's the reason they charge a good amount, okay, for all these companies to manage their data, right? Google data centers and Azure SQL Server data centers and all, they're like very, very, one thing is hard to breach, like cyber attacks and all, not possible, right? Even if something physically happens also, they will have enough backup mechanism. So you don't need to worry. But if it is like a local server as a company, you are managing your own database in a local server room, and some fire accident happens or something, and that company loses all that machines, then yeah, that is a problem. But usually, these database administration teams, they take the periodic backups. So you don't need to worry about that. These days, everything is managed in the cloud only. Most of the companies, they don't want to take any kind of risk. And one more thing is that it is easy to manage their data. They don't need to have an in-house server administration team, because that is taken care by a big company. Like, you have the Google Cloud Platform or Microsoft Azure, or you have Amazon Web Services. All these big players are there in the market to offer these cloud services, right? And that's the reason most of the companies are able to easily move to the cloud-based solutions, okay? I'll tell you one thing. Earlier, it was kind of challenge because internet availability was very limited. Now, everywhere internet is available. From anywhere, you can connect your device and you can read your data, right? So that's the reason the cloud has become, so significant these days. Let's assume that like 15 years, 20 years ago, if someone was talking about a cloud-based technology, it was like very hard. For only few companies were able to afford that, because that infrastructure wasn't there, and the internet availability wasn't there, and the speed wasn't so good. Let's say, I'll tell you one thing, if you upload a document to the Google Drive, and from there, if you want to read it back once again somewhere, we used to live in a world like, 56 kbps modems and all. Now we are talking about GBps, right? At that point, it was like 20 years ago, if you go 56 kbps, even one MB document used to take like a good 1 minute, 2 minutes to read it back from the cloud to your local device. You see that? But now it's not like that. Whether you you store your data in your mobile or it is there on a cloud, both of them one and the same. It's just that internet usage will be more, that's it, right? And anyways, we have everyone almost like a 1 GB or 1.5 or 2 GB everyday usage, right? That is another thing. So earlier we used to store all those music files also, the songs and all, into our local device. Now need, now everything is like a cloud-based application, and any song that you want, you can search it and you can play it. You get the point. Technology has become this much easier to access, right? That's why you don't need to worry, even if you lose the data. Usually there are periodic backups. Advantages. Okay, here we go. You can directly query the data and no need to scroll through the physical file system. I'll tell you a simple example there. Let's say there is employees data. Okay, consider this is employee 1 data, employee 2 data, employee 3 data, 4, 5, 6, and 5,000 employees are there, and each and every employee data is stored in one Word file. Employee name, and usually you see this kind of a thing in colleges and all, they store a lot of Word files and all, right? And few of the companies also. If I want to open employee 393 file, what is it I need to do? I need to go through, search for it otherwise, and then open that file. But if I want to get a particular employee data in a SQL side, okay, SSMS, let me open. This is our client application. I'll show you how to install all these things. Absolutely, you don't need to worry. Whatever the application that I'm showing, whatever the material I'm showing, I'm going to share this with you. Okay. I'm using SSMS SQL Server Management Studio. It is our client. Okay, I'll connect to the server. My server has so many databases there, and one of those databases is there, right? And I want to get an employee detail, okay, who is like, let me just see that, who has a name Jones, okay? Select star from employee where the e name is equal to Jones, okay? Let's execute that. That's it, I get the data, full data, right? I no need to go to each and every file and find out where is that Jones and search for the file and open it. No, because the data is stored in the form of a table, I can write a simple where clause to control that. No need to scroll through the physical file system. That's what it is trying to say, right? Everything is there in a table and you can easily get that. Controlling the redundancy and inconsistency. This is another very, very interesting thing. For this one, I'll show you one supporting file here. Controlling the redundancy and inconsistency. Okay. Take a look at this table. Okay, this data. I'll ask you a few questions. Answer this, please. Can I get the total salaries paid by the department name? Is it possible? Right. All the salaries are there? Yes. Okay. And we also have the department name there. Yes or no?
Yes.
Perfect. So both the columns are there. Okay. Can I tell the maximum salary paid by the job? Nothing but the designation. Maximum salary paid by the job. Can I do that? Yes, because salary column is there and the job column is also there. Okay. Can I get the average salary paid by the gender? Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes, possible, because gender column is there, salary column is there. It's just that you need to change the average, right? Change it to the average formula. That's it. Okay. Fine. You understood, right? Everything is there in one place. I'll show you one more sample data. This time you look at only this table. Huh? Just don't look at the other ones. Now you tell me, can I create a report that shows the salary paid by the department name? Is it possible? Department name. Salary paid by the department name, is it possible?
Department
But my requirement is to get the department name and the total.
also there now. That would be, if it, like that.
Can we do that? In this table, only using this table, can you present a summary, the total salary paid by the department name? Is it possible?
The ID or the similar.
Which department talking about? The department 20 or 10?
Yeah.
By that we can show
Uh.
which department is paying how much. Suppose if you ask me how much department is department 10 is failed. Then we can do.
But I don't want it by the ID, I want it by the name. Do we have the name?
No.
Different table.
If it is there in the different table, then you can get it. Correct. But using this table alone, you cannot give me a solution, right? Perfect. Let me just unhide those columns. Now you take a look at this entire model. Okay, you can look at all the tables. Now tell me, can you get me the total salary paid by the department name?
Yes, we have.
Right, because department ID is here and department ID is here, and using that you can fetch the department name and the salary here. Yes? Right. Similarly, when you look at this table and tell me, can you, can you get me the total salary paid by the job? Is it possible?
Yes, we have this.
Again, what is it you need to do? Let me just draw something here. Using this job ID, and you need to search for the job ID here. Yes. Similarly, for the department also using the department ID and the department ID here, correct? And when it comes to the gender, same thing, right? Gender ID to gender ID. Right? That's how you need to look up that value in some other table. Okay, in Excel, what is it you do? VLOOKUP you can do, because right, in VLOOKUP you have the common value and you can fetch the corresponding value from the some other table. This is what we do. Right. Then I get a question, why do I need to store the data like this? I can actually write, job ID 1 is what? Manager, right? I can actually store manager there, right? Wherever 1 is there, I can actually store manager, 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 manager. Actually, this will make my job easy, right? Yes or no? Okay. But why companies prefer storing the data this way?
Because we have many data, we cannot store in one place in one sheet. So we are taking different sheets.
Mm.
A lot of data.
Okay, let's keep it simple. Let's try to understand this. I'll give you a pen and paper. I'll ask you to write 1 and I'll ask you to write manager. Which one takes more time to write? Manager. Which one consumes more ink to write? More ink. Manager. So that means if the value is big, then definitely it will take more time to write it. Yeah. So instead of that, if I ask you to write only 1 for manager, 2 for developer, 3 for tester. Is it easy?
Yeah.
Easy? Right, perfect. One thing is you can quickly store the data in a limited amount of space. Correct? Right. So this is where a concept comes into picture called data redundancy. What is data redundancy? Instead of storing the same values again and again, what is it we do? We simply use some keys there. Okay, a few keys there. Right? Using these keys, again, you can join back the data. Right? We don't prefer storing the physical values. What is that we store? We store only the keys. To reduce the redundancy. What is redundancy? The redundancy means the same values being repeated for multiple times. We don't want to repeat the same value again and again. No, we don't want to do that. Right? So to reduce the data redundancy issues, okay, to control the redundancy and to inconsistency issues also. Right? Inconsistency issues. Let me show you what is an inconsistency issue. Now you understand what is redundancy? You don't want to write the same value again and again, right? Manager, manager, manager. No, what is it you do? You simply put 1 there. What is 1? 1 is manager. But how do you know that? You just need to look up that 1 inside the designation table. Then you will understand it. What is 1? 1 is manager. Understood? So what is data redundancy? If the same values are repeated for multiple number of times, you need to consider that as data is being redundant. Then what is inconsistency? There is another issue here. Let me show you one simple example, inconsistency example. Okay, tell me something. Can I input a 60 here in the department ID? Department ID column, can I input 60? In the database side, it is not possible for us to input 60 there. You know why?
We don't have anything.
Exactly, we don't have any 60 here in the departments tables, right? So this will control the inconsistency issues also. Someone cannot randomly input anything what they want, okay? So this will be once again cross-checked here whether this kind of a department is it present or not. If it is not present, then it won't allow. Okay? Right. You get the point now? Right? Inconsistency. Right. So data redundancy and inconsistencies can be controlled if you are doing the data normalization. So let me tell you a word here, normalization. Once again, I'll talk about normalization in our upcoming examples. What is normalization and what is denormalization? Understand that. This one is a denormalized data. Why do we call this as a denormalized data? Because each and everything is present in single table, right? It's denormalized data. But in the normalized data, the same data will be split into multiple tables. In multiple tables, the same data is present, right? So why do we do that? To reduce or to control the data redundancy and inconsistency issues, okay? You cannot randomly type anything, and moreover, instead of typing the physical values, if you can type only those keys, the data storage can be reduced, right? So it doesn't take much space. You understood the point? Okay, now I have a question. As a data analyst or a reporting analyst, which one would you enjoy the most? Working with the normalized data set or working with the denormalized data set? As a data analyst or a reporting analyst or a data, MIS analyst, which one you would love the most or enjoy the most working with? Denormalized data set or normalized data set?
Normalized.
Which one is it? Yeah, denormalized ones. Yes. As a data analyst, if the data is available in a single table, then our job is easy, right? Yes or no? Less work also. But usually what happens is that in the real time, most of the tables, you find them in the normal forms only. Nothing but multiple tables will be there. Okay. As part of the data transformations in Power BI, I'll talk about how to bring this into a denormal form. Okay, there are schema designs also. There I'll talk about that. But at this point, just understand what is normalization process. Instead of storing the entire data in one place, we split that into multiple tables. And with the help of keys, we can join the data back. When we split this into multiple tables, you will see two types of tables overall. When you split them, a single table, when you split them into multiple tables, you'll see what? Only two types of tables. What are they? Dimension tables and fact tables. Okay, let me tell you what is a dimension table and fact table also, so that you will understand it better. Okay, what is a dimension table? Dimension table holds categorical data, so we call them dim tables. Okay, departments table here is a categorical data. Okay, something that holds only the qualitative data, something related to the department names, location names, region names, country names, customer details, right? These kind of things you can find in the dimension tables, only the categorical data. Okay, so here the designation table is also holding what? Some categorical data only. And gender table is holding what? This is also holding the categorical data only. This is also a dim table. Okay, what is a dim table? Dimension table. What does it hold? Only the qualitative data, the categorical data. Right? What is the other type of table we get? We get a fact table. Here, employee table, I need to consider this as a fact table. You know, why do I call this as a fact table? Because a fact table holds numerical data. Dimension table holds categorical data. Fact table holds numerical data. How to prove it? It's a fact table. Very simple. If you want to call a table as a fact table, at least one column in the table, you should be able to perform a sum on that column. Sum, SUM. Okay?
That's
SUM.
very good.
That is what a numerical column, right? Then only you can perform a sum. Right. Tell me something. Here also we have the numerical data, right? Are the numbers? 10, 20, 30 are the numbers or not?
Yeah.
They are numbers, right? But can I do the sum on that column?
No, that's
No, it doesn't make sense, right? Even if I try to do the sum, it doesn't make sense, right? So that means if you take a column and if you do the sum of that column, then it should make some sense, right? So if you look at the job ID, of course, it's a numerical column, but can I do the sum? No. But let's take a look at this. Employee ID is there. Can I do the sum?
No.
No, it doesn't make sense. But if you take a look at the salary column, of course, it's a numerical data. Can I do the sum? Yes, I can do the sum. This will give me the total salaries paid.
So in it, one of the column has a sum column or a number column, which total sum can be done. That is a fact.
Correct. In any table, if you see at least one column allows you to do the sum, right? And the result makes sense. It's a fact table, right? Fact table technical definition, this looks different, it holds numerical data and blah, 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 aggregations are possible and all this. But yeah, remember a simple thing. If you look at the table, one of those columns is eligible for the sum, call that as fact table. That's it.
And category is like categories. Like
Different categories. It could be department related things, customer related things, region related things, dealer related things, vendor related things, right? All that data is stored in the categorical tables, nothing but dimension tables, right? Why do we get these fact tables and dimension tables? Because of a data normalization process. What is data normalization process? Instead of storing the data in one place, we split the tables into multiple. Right? Why do we prefer doing the data normalization? To control the data redundancy and inconsistency issues so that you can bring down the data size. Understood? Right. Right. So there is a denormalized data usually, right? What is that we do? We perform the normalization. What is the normalization process? Of a single table will be split into multiple tables. As a result, what is that we get? We get dimension tables and fact tables. What is a dimension table? Something that holds categorical data. What is a fact table? Something that holds numerical data. Right? And why do we do that? In order to reduce the data redundancy and inconsistency. Right? Almost all the databases, the tables that you see are the normalized tables only. Okay. That's the reason in Excel, most of the interviews, they ask you for VLOOKUP. In the interviews, they ask you for VLOOKUP. Why? Because they know that the data is not there in one place. It's not there in one place. If it is there, let's assume that the real-time functions this way. Always the data comes in only one table. Always, let's assume all the companies across the globe, they manage the data only in one table. There is no question of VLOOKUP in the interview. There will be only question of a pivot table. Why? Because after having all the table in one table itself, all the data in one table itself, what is that you need to do? You just need to analyze the data. For that, you just need pivot table charts and the slicers. You would get the questions only on them. Because the data is present in multiple tables, what is needed now? You need to first of all bring the data together into a single table. How do we do that? With the help of those keys only. In Excel, what is that formula that we use? VLOOKUP to bring the data together. In SQL, we use joins. In Excel, we call it VLOOKUP, right? As the data is there in multiple tables, in SQL, we do what? Joins. We'll talk about all those things, okay? Right, up to this one, everyone is clear? Right, what is data normalization process? What is a dim table? What is a fact table? We're good? Right, online participants, is it okay so far?
Yes.
Right, okay. Let's do this. Let's take a 10-minute break now. And once we are back, I'll talk about how it can actually help us to manage the memory well, and indexing and certain concepts are there. I'm just explaining you the theoretical part along with these examples, but we will do them with SQL queries practically. Okay, I'm just trying to create that awareness how the real-time data is stored. Of course, most of you have that awareness, but a few of you may be seeing these kind of data sets for the very first time. So try to understand the concept, and then I'll translate all these commands into SQL commands. Then let's implement there and see. Okay, fine, then take a break. Be back around
11:45.
11:45, 46. Yeah. Yeah. Take a break, please, of 10 minutes break. Get started. So we just understood that what is the redundancy, data redundancy issue, and what is inconsistency, right? And how do we reduce the redundancy and inconsistency issues? With the help of data normalization. What is data normalization? It is a process to split the tables into multiple small tables. What is the advantage here? You don't need to repeat the same values again and again. Instead of that, we simply give the keys to it. Right? As a result of this data normalization, two types of tables will be derived. What are they? Dimension tables and fact tables. How do you identify something is a dimension table? Dimension table. Dimension table, only categorical data. Okay, fact table. Right, at least one column we should be able to do some. Done? Excellent then. Then the next one is efficient memory management. Okay, let me tell you one thing. A simple example here. Instead of storing the physical values like manager, developer, tester, salesman, instead of storing those values, if you can make it like, like this, with the help of keys, instead of storing their physical values multiple number of times, will the memory be saved? Yes. The memory size will be reduced. Yes or no? Definitely, right? And the other thing is that it also helps us to do the indexing. So you need to understand what is this indexing concept. Instead of working with the physical values like this, if you can turn that into a few keys, this will help you to perform the indexing on that column. What is indexing? Let me keep it very simple for you. Indexing concept. You see any textbook or any book for that matter, okay? You see the very first or second page, something called index page. Okay, so what does it contain usually?
Somebody shines which data is available in
Which topic is available on which page. That is index, right? I'll give you a scenario here. I have a textbook. Let's say financial management textbook. Okay, financial management textbook. And this textbook has no index page. This is about 1,000 pages book, but no index page. And another interesting thing is that none of the pages have the page numbers also. Okay. Then I'll ask you in the financial management textbook, I'll ask you to find out a topic called mergers and acquisitions. Okay. Then how do you do that? You need to go page by page and not turn over the page by page and you see where is that. Maybe after like 300, 400 page, and maybe if you're lucky enough, you may be finding that on the very second page, third page, but otherwise it may be there in the last page also. Who knows? You got the point, right? So that means if without the indexing page and without the page numbers, it will take more time. That's what we understood, right? Okay, let me turn this example slightly this way. You have a financial management textbook. You have an index page. Index page has each and every subject. Each and every topic there and the page numbers also, right? And each and every page has the page number. 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 1,000. Now you want to go to the mergers and acquisitions topic. And that topic, when you looked at the index page, it is showing the topic is present in 520th page. 520. Right? Then how do you open that 520 page? So simple. Let me give you the two examples of opening that page. From the page number 1 onwards, you turn over the pages. So start turning over the pages and you reach that 520. This is one way. Otherwise, you look at the book thickness, 1,000 pages. We try to open the midpoint slightly towards the right hand side from the midpoint and you open it. You may land on 530, 540 or 550, somewhere around that. And from there, you can quickly come back to the 520 page. Which one you prefer? First way or the second way? Second way, right? The second way, whatever you did is a clustered index. Nothing but the total number of pages you looked at and you clustered into two pieces, two parts, and you opened it. Right? So this is how you are able to quickly go to that page. So indexing is a concept. This helps us to quickly retrieve the data. What is an index? Index helps us to quickly retrieve the data. Indexing. So for this indexing related concept, whenever a question comes, understand that the index helps us to quickly retrieve the data. And you just think about a textbook with the index page, without the index page. You will understand the challenge. A textbook with the index page, if you have, you can easily look at the index page and you can go to any topic easily. But without the index page, if you want to go to any topic, you have no clue, right? Which topic is in which page, right? It will take so much time. You understood? So what is the job of an index? Index helps us to quickly retrieve the data. In the textbook example, index helps us to quickly go to a particular topic, right? In the database side, index helps us to quickly retrieve the data. Done? Right. So as a result of normalization, both the things can happen. Efficient memory management because you are not storing the physical values. And the second one is, as we are getting the keys there, these keys can be easily indexed. You can easily filter the data using these keys. Then concurrency control and transaction management. This is another interesting thing that we have. Concurrency control and transaction management. Okay. Concurrency control. Concurrency control, what it takes care is either everything is done or nothing is done. The best example is our UPI transactions only. Let's take an example of a UPI transaction. Okay. So in the UPI transactions, let's say you take a phone pay kind of an application. You make the payment. Okay. To your friend. Let's say 1,000 rupees you transfer. What is expected out of this transaction? Right. So 1,000 rupees should be deducted from your account and the same 1,000 should reflect in your friend's account. That is what we expect. But sometimes due to the technical glitches or server issues or something, the money gets debited from your account, but it may not be credited in your friend's account. Right. What is it you need to do? What does it mean? Okay. You need to contact the phone pay support. Okay, tell me something. Whenever the money got stuck like that, how many of you actually reached out to the contact center of PhonePe and got it resolved? No, right? It's been debited. That is for sure. It's been debited. Bank sent you the confirmation, but it's not reflected in your friend's account. What is it?
The bank statements.
It's there, debited. Then.
Then maybe some glitches there.
Correct.
Maybe it can take
We
You
can talk
directly
to
to
bank
contact
as well.
center.
or
No, you directly reach out to the contact center saying that okay, money got debited from my account and it's not credited in my friend's account. You reached out.
Connect with the.
Let us talk about only our situation. What are the possible things are there? We'll talk about that later. Your money got debited from your account, that is for sure. Bank sent you an SMS, money got debited. And also PhonePe showed you a technical glitch saying that while processing the transaction, something went wrong. But by the time money got debited from your account and the same amount is not reflecting in your friend's account, you gave a call to your friend, asked like, okay, is the money appearing in your account? And they said no. Right away, would you call the customer care to get it resolved or not?
No, it will be refunded.
Right. What gives you that confidence? We don't reach out to the customer care. Think about our own case. Okay, what all happening in the background, I'll explain. But do we directly reach out to the customer care as soon as my money, is debited from my account and it's not there in my friend's account? And do I give a call to the customer care? No, I don't do that. I just need to wait for some time.
Even we do that, you tell them wait for 24 hours.
Certain number of hours are needed to, there are some batches, they will be processed, and then that they will check the cross check, whether the money, whatever is debited from the bank accounts, is it exactly reflecting in the other's account or not? If just in case if it is a failure transaction, there will be a flag in their database that okay, it's a failed transaction. Then what happens is that amount will be auto refunded back into your account. So that means we are happy in two situations. What is it? When the money gets debited from your account and credited in your friend's account, it is a complete transaction. We are happy with that, right? Just in case money gets debited from your account, but the money is not credited in your friend's account, even if it is rolled back into your account, you're okay with that. Yes or no? Concurrency control does the same thing. Concurrency control, what it does, either it makes sure that everything is done or nothing is done. Everything is done, we are okay. Nothing is done also, we are okay because we can do the transaction once again. But tell me something, do you think like someone manually monitoring all those millions of transactions are happening around? A simple example, no one can actually monitor manually all these millions of transactions, UPI transactions, right? You can't do that. You get the point now? So that means there is a process in place that takes care of automatically, doing these things, checking these things, right? That is called concurrency control. What it does, either everything is done or nothing is done. Transaction management is also kind of a similar thing. Okay, a simple example I can tell you in the transaction management. All these things are the real-time things we see, but the only thing is that we don't realize these many things are happening in the background. Transaction management, the best example is a bus ticket booking or a movie ticket booking. Let's say you open an app, okay, bus ticket booking app. You choose a bus, you select a seat, and choose the source and the destination, origin and the destination, and you go for ticket booking for the payment purpose, right? You say that, okay, book this ticket. What it does, then it takes you to the payment gateway, payment page, and from there payment gateway, and basis on the selection that you do, whether it is a credit card, debit card, UPI, internet banking, or any other mode of payment, right? So while this transaction is happening, will any other person be able to select the same bus, same seat?
No.
No, right? But tell me,
It's already
locked, but not booked. You need to understand there is a concept called begin the transaction. Okay. And while the transaction is in progress, you won't be able to access the same seat as another user. Okay. Right. It looks as if it is booked, but it's not technically booked in the background. Right. When it will be booked, once the payment is successfully done. Right. Just in case you go to the payment page and you input all the card details and all, and let's assume that the CVV or the OTP, you type it incorrectly and you submit. Then the bank says payment hasn't been processed because of incorrect CVV or incorrect OTP. Then the banking server response, it will be sent to the bus ticket booking server saying that it's a failed transaction. Then the bus ticket booking realizes that, that server realizes that, okay, payment hasn't been made. So it rolls back the transaction, nothing but whatever has been done on the seat will be rolled back, and it will be again made available to the others to book it.
Yes.
That's how it is. And that can't be done in the very next second. Okay, for every 5-10 minutes, they set up the batches to cross-check all these things, and all these things are automatically done, by the way. No one manually monitors all these transactions. Okay, see, these are the advantages of implementing a database. But of course, you think like, okay, do I need to set up this concurrency control and transaction management? No, this is done by the application developers. They take
Sir,
care of the process. Yeah.
I have a question. So
Yes,
there are some cases, when we book it and money got deducted, but the seat also not get confirmed. And
correct.
it happened with me and with my friends too, like many
Mhm.
of them. So like,
Correct.
what are those cases like, then?
Yeah. Money gets debited. Perfect. Money gets
Yes.
debited from your account. So
Mm-hmm.
after money getting debited, what is the bank server job? It needs to inform the book, that bus booking server is there, right? That app server is there, right? A
Mm-hmm.
response should go from the bank to the bus ticket booking app server, saying it's a successful transaction. Then the bus ticket booking server will allot the seat to the person who paid for it. Correct? But there could be, yes, sometimes technical glitches, internet issues or the server response delay issues or something may happen. Due to that process, though the bank amount got debited, bank server, yes, confirm the payment, okay? But is that a proper server response is not sent to your bus ticket booking app, then automatically it waits for some time, it waits for the banking server to respond, and it doesn't respond, okay? It won't respond at that point. Then it waits for a certain time and it says that, okay, no, payment failed. Because it's only a server related response thing. It can happen.
Okay.
Multiple reasons are there, multiple things, maybe I'll tell you one thing. The same time, I'll tell you, multiple bus ticket things are happening, okay? Especially in IRCTC, you find the same issues, okay? Money debited, get debited, but
It will not be.
by the time it reaches the server and server sends a response, and by the time, IRCTC server may not respond to take the response.
Right, bookings for
Right,
also
so many
unpopular
things.
website.
Yes, failures can happen. But only one thing is that you don't need to worry about that money, because anything that you digitally do, okay, you don't need to worry about it because it will be refunded back. Okay?
True,
Only
true,
a
true.
matter
Yeah.
of speed and that server response time, okay? That's the reason whenever you want to book any tickets and all, they say that, okay, keep all your details ready and prefer so and so payment mode so that the success rate will be higher, right? And how is it managing all those millions of transactions with the concurrency control only? No one can manually monitor these many millions of transactions, right? If at least a day, 10,000 transactions are getting failed, how many resources are needed to verify each and every payment? Not that easy, right? And access control and ease in accessing the data. Yeah, if you have your data available on a SQL server from any computer that has connected to, connectivity with that server, you can read the data from any place, any computer, right? Integrity constraints. This is another interesting thing. Data integrity. A simple thing. A department ID which is not there in the department's table, can I input that in the employee table? No way. No way, you can't. Okay. An employee who is not there in the employee table, can that person be paid in the payroll table? No way. So that means the data integrity is maintained. If a student is there in the admissions table, a student is not there in the admissions table, can the student be able to write the exam? No way. Right? So everything follows the data integrity only. Yeah. Can be implemented. We'll talk about that. Multiple user interface. Whatever the examples so far we spoke, the bus ticket booking or a flight ticket booking or all these things are multiple user interface. It's the same platform to you and to me and to others also. All of us can attempt at the same time, right? Data scalability, expandability, and flexibility. Someone asked like, okay, is there any limitation in terms of the SQL databases, the size limitations and all? Yes, they are there, but it can be easily scalable, expandable. I'll show you that when I practically do a database design, and there I'll show you how you can increase the size of the database as and when needed, and how it can be auto. There is something called auto growth. Okay, how it can be auto incremented also I'll show you. Okay, then finally the security. Yeah, it depends on the size of your hard disk or the storage device that you have. And these days we are living in the world of terabytes and petabytes, so it's not that easy to fill that much amount of data. Yeah. And we have something called security. Yes, it is possible to apply the different security rules. And one thing is that if you are looking at an Excel file, okay, there are so many issues. Let's say one Excel file has so much of data, and if you want to share it with others, not everyone is authorized to view that information. Let's assume. Then what is that you need to do? You need to create the copy of the same Excel file with the multiple versions. Okay, region A data should go there, region B data should go there, and financial data should go to only finance team. HR data should go to only HR team. But all the data is there in one Excel file. Then a lot of maintenance activity. But when it comes to an SQL, you can set up the rules. When you create a user profile, you can define what all tables that person can be able to access. Right? Basis on that only, that user will be able to see the limited amount of data. Very, very easy to control those things. Okay. Done. Got some idea now? What is SQL and all? Before getting into the installation of the server and all, towards the end of the session, I'll cover this. Before moving on to this topic, I just need to do a few things. With that, you will get a better idea. The real-time systems, okay? And after that, how to install these applications and softwares into our system, I'll talk about that. There are two systems we see in the real time, OLTPs and OLAPs. Okay. Usually once you get into a job, people will be talking about, okay, the OLTP data hasn't come into OLAP, or data warehouse hasn't been updated, different things that you hear quite frequently. Especially when you start talking with your technical teams, okay, the database administration teams and all. So you need to understand two types of systems are there in the real time, OLTP, OLAP. Online transaction processing, online analytical processing. Online transaction processing, online analytical processing. So when it comes to the online transactional processing, as the name says, transaction processing. So it is meant to do what? Manage all those transactions. That's it, right? So it is an online transactional system, manages the database modifications, right? Let me explain this section first, and then later I'll explain OLAP. The focus of the system is insert, update, delete data from the database. The primary focus of the system is to insert, update, delete. The best example I can tell you in the real time, if you go to a shopping mall, There you see the billing counters. All of them are connected to the OLTPs only. Why? Because there we are doing transactions, right? So what happens basically there? Insert happens, update happens, delete happens. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you go to you visit a shopping mall. You buy a few products. Okay, you go to the billing counter. There is a billing executive. So what's happening basically with that billing executive? A data entry is happening.
Yes.
So all the billing executives are data entry operators only technically, right? What is that they do? They take the products, right? And there are QR codes or the barcodes available, and they just scan them. And whatever is happening there is everything is like a transaction for us, right? That they do that, okay, quantity and scan those codes and price, quantity and all that stuff. Okay, finally 1,000 rupees bill done. And they ask you like, okay, is it a cash payment, card payment or something? You say that it's a card payment, right? And they input the card, it's a card payment, and they process the payment, and then machine comes into picture, and you tap that or you input the pin, and the transaction is done, and a bill gets generated. On the bill, you see an ID, a transaction ID or invoice number or bill ID, something. That is a unique identification number to track the information about that bill, right? That it plays a major role, right? So whenever just in case if you want to refund something, return something, they ask for what? Bill. Not to see the details in the bill, just to see only the ID on the bill. Because if they can see the ID, they can track those details anyways from that, right? Other than that, to make it much more easier, these days they also started asking for your mobile number, because you remember anyways your mobile number, right? Just by typing your mobile number, they can track the entire history, what all you got on that mobile number. Using that also, they can fetch the bill details. That is also possible. So you don't need to necessarily remember the bill number also, right? Fine then. So what is basically happening in the entire thing? It's one transaction happening. What kind of a transaction is it? If you are buying something, you are inserting data into the database. So and so customer bought so and so product, so and so quantity, so and so price, and this is the bill amount paid by cash or card or whatever. Understood? So basically insert. Sometimes update can also happen. Update is nothing but you looked at your customer profile and they ask you like, they ask your mobile number. They typed it and they fetch the details. And they asked you that, okay, email ID is, your name is this, because previously you probably would have visited them, right? So email, your name is this and this is your email ID. And you say that, no, I've stopped using that email ID. So please, can you update that email ID? Can they do that?
Yeah.
They can do it. So what's happening in that transaction? Update is happening. There, that person also says that, okay, I see two addresses on your name. One is your looking like personal address. The other one is your office address. You're like working with, HSBC, right? So is it okay? You want me to keep that address with it? You say that, no, I've just, moved to a different company. Better you leave my home address is okay, but delete the HSBC, the company official address, because I'm not working there anymore. Can they delete? Yeah, depends on the access rights and all. They can delete also, because it's just like address only, right? Anyways, your home address is there. Done. So what are the things that we just discussed? Insert is happening at the same time, right? Updated your email address and deleted your official address.
Yeah.
Three kind of things, and these three things are done by which system? OLTP, online transaction processing system, right? And the job of this OLTP is basically to do with this insert, update, delete only. The best example is a billing counter. The other best example is ATM. ATM also, when you visit ATM, what is the full form of ATM? Automated teller machine or something, right? We basically use it like anytime money. And Apollo people use it like anytime medicine, ATM. They named it like ATM only, okay? Fine, yeah. So here we go. So you go to ATM and you withdraw, or let's say you do the balance inquiry, right? What kind of a thing here? You're doing basically a data retrieval thing. You are not inserting anything. You are not updating anything.
Yeah.
You are not deleting anything. You just retrieval. So retrieval can also happen, right? But let me tell you the best example here. Let's say you withdraw the money, right? So tell me, once you withdraw the money, definitely there will be one transaction that takes place in the banking system, banking your transactions daily. What kind of a transaction is it? Is it insert statement, update statement, or delete statement?
It's update.
Let's say you have 50,000 in the account and you insert the card and you type your PIN and you withdraw 5,000. So definitely a transaction will be recorded in the system. So is it an insert statement, update statement or delete statement? So
It include pre also.
your 50,000 will become after withdrawing 5,000, which will be updated to 5,000, right? Now you tell me what kind of transaction is it?
Updated.
It is insert. Don't think it is update. I'll tell you something. Insert means, there has to be a record for this withdrawal of 5,000, right? Yes or no? Let's say today you find your balance is 50,000. You only go to the ATM and you withdraw 5,000. And of course, the updated balance is 45,000. What if the account directly shows 45,000 without showing that 5,000 withdrawal? Directly a bank, you will give a call to the.
Insert.
No. It is only the insert. Only the insert. Because
From that amount.
correct. See, that is the reason you have two columns, right? Debit side and credit side. The moment you show something on the debit side, the total will be updated using a calculation. It is not updating your number directly. It is doing a calculation there to show that. Your 50,000 won't be directly updated to 45,000. What is it doing? It is doing a calculation after minusing, subtracting that 5,000, then the updated balance is 45,000. It is not update statement. It is an insert statement only. If you have 50,000 directly appears as 45,000 on the next day without leaving any track of withdrawal of that 5,000, you will get a doubt, right? Okay, what happened to that 5,000? Yes or no? Probably you would have withdrawn, but what if you forget that? Got the point? So it's an insert statement. Just because the balance is getting updated, don't think it is updated. Okay, it is an insert statement, right? ATM is also a best example for insert. Let's say there also you do that, right? You wanted to change your PIN. What kind of transaction is it? Update. Perfect. The same PIN will be updated with the new PIN, right? There you found some unnecessary data associated with your account and you wanted to delete it. I don't need that address. Okay, there are 5 addresses are there. One of the address you want to delete it. You can delete it, right? Now we are getting it.
But it will be updated also. It's getting edited.
No, deleting is something different. Deleting is nothing but whatever that record will be completely deleted out of the system. So update is nothing but the record stays there, but the values will be updated. Right? They will be updated with the new values.
They are also inserting now. Delete. Inserting to delete.
So, sir, I have a question.
Online, just hold on. We have an offline question here. I'll come to you. Okay, your question is about.
Delete the address. So
We are inserting the
ATM card.
ATM card, okay?
Delete the address.
To delete the address, okay? Inserting an ATM card, I'll tell you one thing. I'll insert the ATM card. I'll just take out the ATM card. Will there be any transaction recorded?
No.
No. So that means if the system doesn't care physically whatever you are doing there. Whatever you are doing inside the software, only those things will be reported. Right? Of course, I think in the ATM, as soon as you insert the card, even a log will be created. That you inserted card in so and so machine, so and so date time, and you have the track of all of that. It's not that, but technically speaking, you are not doing any transaction there. So the transaction OLTP is not engaged, right? Just because you inserted, but there will be a log created that you inserted a card that is taken care by some other table. Okay. Yeah. Online. Go ahead.
So let's suppose I have an email ID which is already registered, right?
Mm.
But right now I have a new email ID which I want to update it, right? So I want to delete the old one and update the new one. So does it comes under update or delete? Because I'm deleting the older one. So should it come in the delete?
If you are really doing two things, let's say deleting it and then later you cannot update it. You can insert it. The moment you delete it, there is no space that you can input something there. What is that you need to do? You need to insert a new email address there. Is what, if already a value is present and if you override that value with something else, then only you consider that as update. But if the moment you delete it, there is nothing actually to update it again. You get my point? That means you will have to take a new record to insert a new email address there.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Got the point? So
Yeah.
update means don't use the word delete there. Whatever the value is there, it will be replaced by a new content. Something
Got
like
it.
when you want to reset your PIN, you don't delete your PIN, right? First, yes or no? What is that you do? You update the existing PIN with a new PIN. That means it's an update state. Yeah. So all these things are taken care by OLTP. And by the way, this OLTP system, I think by now you should get some idea. Anyways, I'll ask this question towards the end, okay? After explaining OLTP, then you will understand who uses OLTP and who uses OLTP. I'll come to this point later. Okay, OLTP and its transactions are the original source of data. Okay, OLTP transactions are the original source of data. So does that mean there can be some duplication? Yes, there will be some duplication. Nothing but whatever the OLTP data is there, that is initially recorded into the system, that will be moved to a different system in the form of a copy. I'll tell you that, why do we need to take a copy of the existing data, this original source of data, where that will be copied to. I'll talk about that later, but understand that this is where the actual transactions are taking place. The billing system and all, that is where the very first transaction gets recorded. In the ATM machine, that is where the very first transaction that gets recorded. The same data can be moved to some other system later. Why we move the data, when that data will be moved, and what is the process we use to move the data, I'll talk about that in the OLTP. OLTP transactions are short. If you go to a billing counter, no one is there. No one is there. Only the executive, you are with a few products, and tell me, you have like 3 or 4 products and you want to complete the billing. Okay. How much time would it take? 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes max. That's it, right? That's it. Yeah, they are short transactions, and the time also they take comparatively less. OLTP transactions, because it's just only insert, update, delete. That's it. Right? No complexity, right? So you're not asking for a very tricky requirement there. You're just like you're handing over the products and getting the billing done. That's it. Right? Simpler queries. Insert, update, delete are the simpler queries. And moreover, these people who are dealing with that billing system and all, they don't need to write any query. There will be one application. They just need to interact with the application. In the back end, it does the simpler queries there. Right? These people no need to be the SQL experts to pass these insert, update queries. Okay, insert, update, delete queries. And I think you know this already. Normalization, I explained. What is it? I told you, right? A big table, instead of storing it in the same table, we split that into multiple dimension tables and fact tables. We discussed that. Yeah, data normalization. Yes, in the OLTP systems, the data is usually normalized. Nothing but multiple tables will be there. But as a billing executive, I no need to worry about what all are there in the back end. What is that I need to worry about? Only the front end application, and am I entering the data correctly or not before submitting that. That's it. My job is only that. And integrity constraints, you understood, right? Nothing but a department which is not there in the departments table, you cannot assign it to the employee, right? A simple example, I'll turn this into your billing, this thing, shopping thing, okay? A product you picked up, you go to the billing counter, scans it. It won't work, right? And what does that person say? Like, can that person be able to bill that? No. Why no? Because a product that is not coming via the scan from the products table cannot generate a bill. That's when that billing counter executive request for what? Same thing, bring another one because the QR or the barcode is not being read from here. Get another product, or at least send someone else there and get me a similar product there, right? So why? Because a product that is not appearing in the products table to scan it, that person cannot sell it. Integrity. That is how the inventory in the bigger shopping malls, they manage that way. Everything has a barcode, right? Why? Because basis on this only the inventory audits and all they take place. Right? If you are selling something without having that in the products table, they can't track it. You're getting the point? Right. So integrity and that normalization, they are like very, very crucial things in the database side. Yeah. Data normalization helps us to reduce the redundancy and inconsistencies. Integrity helps us to maintain that, okay, wherever the data is present, it has to be, it has to follow that integrity constraint only. As a product which is not there in the products table cannot be there in the transactions table. It's as simple as that. A product which is not there in the products table, you cannot sell it in the transactions table. You got the point? Done. You have some idea, right? Now, what is OLTP? Right. And usually you see this, the billing counter example, if you can think, all these OLTP related things are sorted out. Done. Moving on to OLAP, online data retrieving and data analysis system. Okay, this is the reason we call it online analytical processing system, OLAP. Okay, the online data retrieving and data analysis system. And what is the purpose? We have this extract data for analyzing that helps us in decision making, right? So basically, the data is stored in OLTP, right? The same data, the transactional data will be copied across to the OLAP, not a single OLTP system, multiple OLTP systems data will be copied to one OLAP as a data warehouse. What is a data warehouse? It's your central repository of all the different systems, right? I'll tell you a simple thing here. We have one OLTP for Hyderabad, one OLTP for Chennai, one OLTP for Bangalore, one OLTP for Mumbai, Delhi, and all Kolkata and all major cities. Someone who is like a CEO of that business sits in Mumbai location, wants to understand across India what all happen. Then you cannot ask the CEO to, okay, if you want to get Hyderabad data, connect to the Hyderabad OLTP. If you want to get Mumbai data, okay, connect to the Mumbai OLTP. You can't say that, right? What is it you need to do? You need to be able to consolidate all these OLTP's data into a central repository like a data warehouse. This is where the data warehousing team comes into picture. Their job is to set up the ETL jobs. ETL. Extract, transform, load. ETL. Right? Usually you hear these words from the data engineering team or the data warehousing team. ETL, right? Data engineering team or data warehousing team. What is the job of these teams? They extract the data from the OLTPs, they transform the data into the required shape, and they load the data into one OLAP. Okay, now this OLAP consists of what? All the different OLTPs data in one place. What is the advantage here? If you want to create a report, as all the data is located in one place, then you create a Power BI report with a location filter. If your CEO wants to see the Hyderabad data, okay, then what is it? Just select on Hyderabad slicer, then only Hyderabad numbers will appear. If that person wants to see all of them, then remove the slicer value, then it shows all the entire India performance. Now we are getting it. So the data is stored in multiple OLTPs will become part of one OLAP. What is the process that helps us to bring in the data into one OLAP is ETL process, extract, transform, load. And who does this? Data engineering team or data warehouse. What is a data warehouse? Data warehouse is a central repository that brings all the data into one place. Multiple databases will become one single database, like a data warehouse database. Now you understood? Right, as the data is there in one place, such a huge one, usually it takes more time, right? I'll tell you a simple example. When you wanted to get, okay, you want to do the, okay, UPI transaction. How much time would it take? Seconds, right? Oh, perfect. Because you are dealing with OLTP there and you are inserting a transaction data. You want to get last 5 years banking transactions data to analyze what happened. Then can you do it in seconds? No, right? Definitely we'll have to wait for some time. Bank also need to, accept your request and it will retrieve the data and it will give you that output, right? So that are long transactions and they will definitely take more time, the processing time comparatively more in OLAP because it is not simpler queries what we do. We write very complex queries there. Okay. And the last two are little interesting. You see that OLAP databases are not usually so much normalized. Okay, OLAP is used by who?
Users.
Analysts. Analysts. Because we are the one, we use OLAP. We connect to the OLAP only, not the OLTP. Right? So we connect to that and we don't prefer a lot of normalization. Why? Because a lot of normalization means a lot of tables. Lot of tables means a lot of joins. Lot of joins means a lot of complexity in query writing. You're getting it? We'll come to that also. I'll explain. I'll ask you that question. What is OLTP? What is OLAP? And why are we doing with the OLAP only as a data analyst? Because the data engineering team, as part of the transformation, ETL they do, right? Extract the data from all the OLTPs, transform the data. Okay, here we go. While doing the transformation, they try to bring the data as close as possible. You know why? Because that is used for reporting and analytics. More number of tables if they keep, as a reporting analyst, I need to struggle. because I need to interact with 100 different tables to get one single report output. But if these ETL people, if they can bring the data as close as possible with a limited number of tables, there will be little normalization is still done. They don't completely denormalize it. There will be, lesser number of tables. As a result, I'll be able to interact with 5-6 different tables to create one. Then, and coming to the data integrity, you absolutely no need to worry in OLAP. Why? Because this data is coming from where? OLTP. If the OLTP follows the integrity constraints, the same data is being migrated or moved or copied to this OLAP only, right? So that means if the data is following the integrity constraint, the same integrity constraint is maintained in OLAP also. You're getting the point. If at the time of entering the data, if it is following all the rules, later when you are analyzing the data, you don't need to worry about that, right? Because at the time of entry itself, everything is taken care. Correct. That ETL, correct. ETL team. This is where you need to be in touch with the ETL team a lot, especially if it is like at the very beginning stage of the implementation. You need to be in touch with the ETL team or the data warehousing team to tell the reporting requirements also to them. Otherwise, in their own way, they will start consolidating the data, and later, when you place a request, they say that no, this is out of the scope and we can't do it. Then as a reporting analyst, you need to struggle. There is always a fight between the data warehousing team and the reporting team. Because you place a request, they simply say no. They simply say that, okay, it is out of our scope. Now we can't implement it. As a result, because you can't say no to your client, right? Ultimately, you are hired to create a report, and if the data is not there in the right shape, right? You can't say because data is not there in the right shape, I can't create a report. No, client wouldn't accept. They say that, okay, figure out a way. And then obviously you reach out to the data warehousing team and you say that, okay, please can you get this thing done for me? And they say that, okay, it is out of our scope and we can't do it. We can't do it now. We only have to figure out a way and find out. Right? Fine. Right. Now you tell me OLTPs who use this system. Usually the data entry operators. OLAPs who use this system. Data analysts. OLTP is used by the data entry operators. But you get a question. In OLTP also we have the data, right? Can't I analyze the data directly on the OLTP? Yes, that's original source of data. It is there. Can't I analyze the data there? Yes, I can. But why do we prefer moving all the data, copying all the data into a different system, and why do we prefer analyzing it there? I got a question. The data is already there. See, you're already writing these notes, right? Yes. Then the question comes, what is the point again, taking another notebook and summarizing all the points and writing it there? Get that question? I'll tell you one thing. Why do we need two types of systems here? The first system, OLTP, is already engaged in doing a lot of processing, a lot of customer requests, right? To prove it, maybe you take a rough page, okay? Let's prove it, right? Technically, you will understand it. Take a rough page, pen and paper, rough page, right? If you don't have it, that's okay, but practically do it on a rough paper, okay? I'll ask you to write these numbers. Write the numbers, please, on a rough paper, okay? You don't need that, but yeah, let's do it. Write it, 10, 14, 18, 22, 25, okay? 22 and 25, 10, 14, 18, 22, 25. Oh, the second number I said, right? 14 I said. I'll change it to 15, please. Yeah. Initially when you wrote that, it's an insert statement. You did that. Later I requested 14 to be updated to 15. You did update statement. Oh, third number 18 I said, right? Delete that, please. I don't need it. Delete it. Strike it off. 18. I don't need the third number 18. Delete it, please. I don't need. Now we are left with 10, 15, 22, and 20. 4 numbers only. Right. So in these reactions, you inserted the data, you updated the data, and you deleted the data also. Okay. Now we insert 35 also at the end. After 25, write 35. Okay. This is happening like this. I'm giving you the numbers, let's assume. Okay. Now suddenly I'll ask, can you get me the sum of the first two numbers? What is it? 10 plus 15, 25. Can you get me the sum of second and third numbers? And while doing that, I want you to write 45 also. Please write 45. Get me the sum of first three numbers. Write 52, get me the sum of first 4 numbers. Write 61, get me the sum of first 3 numbers again. Okay, I think you are writing it, but you are not being able to tell me the answer for the first 3 numbers sum and first 4 numbers sum. Right. So that means you are one way you are trying to insert the data. The other way I'm asking you an analytical question. What is it? I want you to do the sum and tell me what is the total. Let's assume that there is a total sale value. Okay. You are unable to perform that. If you focus on telling me the sum, you will be losing on whatever I'm saying here. I asked you to write 55, 61 and all, you will be missing out those numbers. That means understand as one system. If your focus is only on insert, update, delete, you are comfortable. But let me switch it. You take care of writing. You take care of doing the sum. Would it be comfortable? Because your job is basically focus only on insert, update, delete, and your job is only to get me the sum or average or something. Then you too will be finding it comfortable. But if I'm asking you to do both of them, then you will be struggling. For the same reason, you have two real-time systems. One system takes care of insert, update, delete. One system takes care of only analytics. And moreover, this analytical thing, as we discussed, the data won't be in a live basis. We don't get it. Sometimes we do the live-based analytics also. That's a different technique altogether. What happens is that during that ETL process, ETLs, they take place during the midnight usually. As soon as 12 o'clock is done, all those transactions for that day will be copied into or extracted, transformed and loaded into OLAP. And then as a reporting analyst, next day morning, you connect and you start analyzing the data. Are you getting it? Why two systems are needed, right? One system also you can do it. But that one system is already engaged in doing a lot of transactional activity for the customers. And it is recommended also. Let me tell you one thing. Let's say you are using Amazon, right? Amazon, they thought like, okay, why do I need to implement two systems and two maintenance teams and all? Let us go with one system only that will take care of the transactions and that will take care of the analytical things also. Let's say customers across the globe trying to, okay, India only, Amazon.in only. So India only customers, there is a sale happening. What is that? Some Great Indian Festival sale is happening. Okay. Usually the flow will be more high, right? And you are choosing the different products and all, and you are selecting the product and you click on buy products. Okay. Then definitely there has to be a request to take place. And Amazon, as they have only one system in place, what's happening there is that there are other analytical queries also running on the same system. Nothing but the same system is now responsible to respond to both the ones. One, as a customer, whatever the requested products should be, placed, one thing. And in the back end, there is a reporting and analytics team, and they are running so many queries to read the data from the system, right? So it is responsible to serve both the customers, both the clients, basically, right? Who is our priority if you tell me? You are the business side. That analytical thing is a priority or the customer experience is a priority?
Actually, both.
If I really need you to prioritize someone, customer is a priority. Let me tell you a simple thing. If the customer, customer's transactions itself not there, what is the point of doing analytics on the data?
Yeah, customer is unhappy.
Exactly. The customer tries to log in, taking like 20 minutes to complete a transaction. Then next time that customer won't visit that again. It's like, okay, Amazon, service wise, they take like 20-25 minutes to just buy one product, right? So slowly they will lose interest, right? You're getting the point? Now you understand why two types of systems are needed. One dedicated systems for the analytics, one dedicated system for the transactions. Now you got it? Right. Now I have a question. I told you, right? I'll ask you this towards the end. What kind of systems do we use as an individual? In office, I understand. Do we use OL APs or OLTPs? OL APs? Okay, I have a question here. Are we data entry operators or not? As an individual, are we a data entry operator or not? Look at yourself, the things that you do on daily basis. Are we data entry operators or are we data analysts?
Yeah, data entry.
Data entry as good. Okay, tell me one example of a data entry that you do.
Like, if I order something in Amazon, then it's a data.
Perfect. Not only that, probably would have done one UPI transaction today.
Yeah.
What you did? Data entry exactly. Exactly. You entered the data. You entered the data. Right. You know, all those ATM transactions and all, what is that we are doing? We are doing the data entry for ourselves. Right. So in offices, we may be a data analyst, but in our regular, as an individual, see yourself. Metro ticket, yes. Okay. And you, let's say, if you have a card, okay, you did the data entry by tapping it. Right? We do a lot of data entry. Actually, this internet made things work in a different way. Earlier, if you want to get cash, what is that you need to do? Bank first. Bank first. There we used to have a withdrawal forms. You need to fill it, sign it, right? You need to submit your passbook and the withdrawal form. And they give us a coin kind of a thing, right? We need to wait. They will show that and display the cash counter, and you need to submit that coin, right? And then looking at the withdrawal form, they input the data on our behalf. Right? So data entry used to happen by the bank employees. How many of you visited the bank recently? We almost forgot the bank. We don't really care where our bank is. Everything is like digital, right? And you are doing all those bank transactions and everything online. You are doing, or we are doing our data entry these days. We all are data entry operators, right? And what is the advantage to the business? As the customers are doing the data entry by themselves, they don't need any staff. Staff cutting, right? All these things just because of the technological, evaluation, I'd say. Yeah, evolution, right? You understand, we use both the systems in the real time, but in the offices, we use OLAP as a data analyst, right? Sometimes we get access to the OLTP also, but it is not recommended to interact with it. Why? Because it is already busy in doing so many transactions for the customers. If you, as a data analyst, if you also log into the system and say that, okay, get me the last 10 years data, if you ask, then all the other customers will be, getting that latency issue. Yeah, you got the point? Now you understood OLAP and OLTP? Perfect then. This is what you need to do today. I'll show you the things. Just download and keep them ready. Okay. You just click on this link. This material is, this will be available online in Google Drive for you, or you can download it from there. Check with the front office. They will grant you the permissions to download this. Yes, you will get that message on the WhatsApp group also. From there, you can download. I hope all of you are part of the permanent group, not the temp group. Okay, you can talk to them. They will add you to the permanent group. Go to the slide number 9. Click on this. Okay. Just scroll down a bit. You have this SQL Server 2022 Developer Edition. This one, not the on-prem or Azure. Okay, these things you need to make the payment. Okay, this one is free. It's a full-featured free edition, licensed for use as a development and test database in a non-production environment. It's very, very clear.
So any limited time period?
Nothing. It's a full-featured free edition. There you get a question like, it is good, right? I'm getting a free software. I can use the SQL Server Developer 2022 and I can use it for my business purpose, right? No, that's the reason it's clearly mentioned non-production environment. Okay. Just in case if something goes wrong, someone asked, right? Okay, what if I lose the data? Right? You can't sue Microsoft company on this. Why? Because they clearly mentioned it's a non-production environment. We are just giving it for free, just for the testing purpose or the development purpose. You can use it, but not for the production environment. Okay. Even if something goes wrong, they don't hold any responsibility for this. Right. Yeah.
It's only for like teaching.
Just only for the training purpose. You can try out anything. You can completely crash the server also. That's fine. You can reinstall it later. Right. It's for the non-production environment. Done. So this one you need to click, and somewhere around a good 5-6 MB will be there. But you just once you click this, it will download one file. Okay, it goes to your downloads, and if you go there to the downloads, and here you will see this 2022 SQL Server something development edition. Okay, you just do a double click there, and this is where it is going to take like a half an hour to install it. Just do a double click, and there it asks. Once you do the double click, go to the instructions and go to the server setup. Here it says 2017, but it is now 2022. And you can also click on this button and you can just scroll down. And I showed you already 2022 developer edition, free version, but non-production environment. We are going to use 2022. Just do a double click there and go with the basic setup. There is like custom and basic setup. Click on the basic setup. Accept all of them. Click next, finish. The last screen after installing all these things, it shows install SSMS. From there, you can directly click on install SSMS, or in the instructions file or in the presentation in the slide number 10, you have this install SSMS. From this link also you can get it, or when you start installing that SQL Server on the last screen also you will see install SSMS. There also you can get it. If you click there, directly it will start installing it. But otherwise, if you are going to this slide and slide number 10, and if you click this link, it will open a new browser and scroll down. There is something called SQL Server Management Studio 21. This one here. Click this. This is a good 500, 600 MB file. It will take some time to download. Once that gets into the downloads, again, the same thing. It will show SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS setup. Shows one more file with around a 600, 700 MB, something like that. Just do a double click. There also it's the same process. Server installation is done, client installation. Once you do the double click, again, same thing. Just click next, finish. Just do only that part. How to configure these things is needed. How to connect the client with the server is needed. How to set up the TCP IP and certain things are there. As a server administrator, you need to do that. That I'll explain tomorrow's session. For now, you just click download, click basic setup in the server and SSMS installation. 2 applications you need to install. It will take about 1 hour time. Just click any other software we install, double click install, next, same way. Don't change anything. Don't touch any other thing. Just click setup, double click on the setup and next, finish. How to do the server client configurations and all, I'll show you in our tomorrow session. There is one more thing also you need to download. After downloading the server is here, client is here, server is SQL Server Management, SQL Server Developer 2022. Of course, material says 2017 or 2019, but the current version is 2022. SQL Server Management Studio, which is 21 version. 21 version I showed you already. Right here it is. When you click on that link, it will take you there. And then finally, a couple of databases also you need to download. So the sample databases are here. Just click this link on the slide number 10. Watch this video just in case if you get any doubt. Click that and scroll down. You will see a couple of databases. 22 OLTP, AdventureWorks OLTP is needed, and 22 data warehouse is also needed. Both of them. This one and this one. Somewhere around a 500 MB, both of them together. Download them and keep them ready. How to restore them into your server, I'll show you later. So you need to do 3 things. Server setup, client setup, and sample databases download. Okay. If you are using Wi-Fi, great. But if you are using mobile network, make sure it has about at least a 2.5 GB, because a good amount of GB to be downloaded. Better connect to the Wi-Fi network or a LAN cable and do it. Okay. Because halfway through, if your internet is over, then again it will be hard, right? So better do it in the Wi-Fi network. Okay, not the mobile one. Clear? Can you all do this? Download and keep the applications or softwares ready. Right? Install the SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio, client and the server application. Right? Once we are done with that, tomorrow I'll take you to the configurations. And by the way, let me tell you this. That is not usually our job in office, because that should be taken care by the server administrators.
Yeah.
But why are we doing this? Because we want to practice. That means we need to have a server in our computer, right?
We have to know other than.
Exactly. And it also gives us good idea about if you want to talk to the server admin teams, you will be able to talk to them in their language. Right. You go to a server admin team and saying, okay, I'm not getting the data. It's a very generic state. But if you can talk to them in their language, so and so server, I'm not being able to access because of the access restrictions. If you say that, they will be able to easily understand, oh, okay, this is a server, right? Okay, let me just check your user profile, whether you have access to it or not. You're getting it? So this kind of technology also we will start learning it so that you can confidently talk to them in their language. Done? Perfect. So that's all for today, and requesting you to just download and keep the softwares and other things ready. And tomorrow we'll see the practical. Okay, done. Yeah, thanks all of you. Online, any questions? Okay.
Yeah, should we download developer
Yeah.
edition or what?
A developer edition only, yeah, developer edition only. Do not download any other. There is a 2022 full featured free developer edition. Only click on that.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
right. Great then. So thanks everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, 10 o'clock.
Thanks.
Thank you.
No.